Hi, this is Mary. This is my first video. I just thought that I should do one because if you're anything like me and you've tried to become a flight attendant, you've researched everything you can and you've looked online, Glassdoor, aviation interviews, and they all want you to pay or sign up or do something ridiculous. And so you've looked at YouTube videos and you've seen some and they've been helpful. Well, today is, what is today? June 8th. 2016, and I interviewed with a major airline yesterday, and they've kind of changed the way they interview. They used to do kind of an American Idol thing where Simon Cowell will come in and tell you you're crap and make you leave. And so I was kind of expecting that, but it's different now, and it's still horrible. But, you know, I lived. I'm here. And I met some amazing people, really great people, and it was quite the experience. So I want to share it. First of all, I just filled out an online application. They said they got 3,000. So I'm pretty proud of myself for getting as far as I did. And I just sent it and I said that I am the daughter of a pilot, which I am. He was a pilot for 40 years. I lived in 3 countries, and 6 states. And I understand what the whole deal entails. And it also asked if you're willing to relocate to one of their major hubs, which I said yes. But I have kids, and I have a really noisy pug as well. Hold on, I'll show you. Oh my God, he's back too. This is Toby Liam, and he's very cute. Then I would hate to leave him all the time, but it would be a fun job. Anyway, so I said yes, even though that their main hub is here in Seattle. So I thought, I doubt they would move me. Toby. Anyway, that comes into play a little bit later. So I didn't expect to hear anything, and I didn't hear anything for maybe 2 weeks. And then they said, you've been invited for an interview. And I was like, what? Me? Really? Okay, awesome. I have a background I have a degree in English from the University of Arizona. Bear down, go Wildcats. And I've done various things. Currently, I work at home and I sell art. I was trying to find a sample piece, but maybe my pug has one. I sell art at collageorama.com if you want to look. And it's kind of crazy art, but I really wanted to do something, I don't know, more with my life, I suppose. And so I applied and I got the video interview, which was really weird. So you have to look at these, it's kind of like when you're watching Double Jeopardy, and they come up and it's the video Double Jeopardy. So it's kind of like the flight attendants come up and say, tell us a time when you had an unruly customer and how you dealt with it. And you have 30 seconds of staring at yourself like I am right now. And then in the back of your mind, you're like, smile. So you're like, blah, blah, blah. Ding! Yeah, I don't know. And then 2 minutes to record it, and you can't go back. So the first one was like, tell us about your resume and something, I don't know, I made something up. I was like, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm panicking because I can't go back. I'm like, oh God, end that one. Then there was like 5 more, I think. The unruly customer, tell us about a time when you had to take action. I told them about when I worked at a World War II museum. And I had an elderly veteran who was getting heat stroke in Tucson, Arizona. I mean, this was pretty common, but how I took him to an air-conditioned place and I gave him water and a wet washcloth, and I stayed with him. They asked what an experience where you had to kind of go the extra mile and pitch in, and I talked about the time when John McCain was visiting the museum and I didn't know, and the doors were locked. It was a Saturday, and the head docent called me and said, the Secret Service is here, Mary, come unlock the door. And I jetted down there as quickly as I could, and I opened the door and I got to hang out with John McCain, and it was fun. I can't remember the other ones. Maybe I'll come back and do that. It's on Glassdoor, all of them, if you look for that specific airline. And they don't say anything about having a noisy pug. So I thought, okay, well, I screwed that up. Except at the end, I got a little bit more comfortable with talking to myself. And then I didn't hear anything for about another week or two. And then I got an email, and the lady says, we want to invite you to an interview event. And I was like, really? No way, me? So I thought, well, you know, I got some assets. Maybe I could do this. And I was scared crapless. So the first thing I did was I got this book. It's a really good book. It's The Essential Guide to Becoming a Flight Attendant by Kiki Ward. And if anyone wants it, message me, and you just pay for shipping, because I don't need it anymore. I don't have the job. But I'll bless it for you. Okay. So I went on YouTube. I watched all these videos of what to do, what not to do. They said, everything says put your hair up. So I put my hair up, and I looked very professional. And I have to say that a lot of girls made it that didn't have their hair up. So it's not important. Wear a watch, because it's an FAA requirement, according to the book and what I read. Although some people at the interview said that's not true. And a girl made it, and she was awesome. She didn't have a watch on. She had her hair up. I wore a blazer and a plain shirt and slacks and 1-inch heels. I read that if you take $1 and you fold it, they shouldn't be any bigger than that. I guess this is a $2 bill. Here. There was a girl in very high heels, and I'm pretty sure she made it. So, you know, these suggestions, I don't know. I was going to wear a skirt, and then I decided to wear the pants. And you know what? Whatever you're comfortable in, I would say. Even if you want to keep your hair down, as long as it looks nice. I kind of had to put mine up because I have crazy Scottish hair. So the first interview, they said, was at a warehouse and there was no parking. Thanks. And this isn't a very big city. Well, Seattle. In fact, you might figure out who has a hub in Seattle and figure out who this airline is. I just don't want to make them mad. First thing you do is we got a name tag, and there was only 35 people there, which was unusual because everything I read said there was going to be 75 to 150 people there. And everybody was really, really nice. And you walk in and you meet the flight attendants, and then you do a reach test. So basically they have a line up here. It's supposed to be 80 inches, I think. Excuse me, I'm in my pajamas because I'm still completely exhausted from yesterday. And then you just go up, and then you reach to 80 inches. And I don't think anybody couldn't do that. And there was some I'm 5'5", but there was some girls who were probably 5'3". The men, there was 5 men and 30 women. There were 4 very nicely dressed men and 1 man who dressed like he came off the street. I don't know what he was doing. He didn't talk to anybody. Everybody says be very sociable, and I was very sociable. First thing we did, we sat down. Oh, I should go back to when I got the email about the interview. It says bring your passport and a copy of your passport. They never looked at that, so I don't know. And bring your 2 resumes, and letters of recommendation. So I brought 2 resumes. Didn't have any letters of recommendation. And it said to watch, there's 2 videos you have to watch and 3 videos you don't have to watch. Well, of course I'm going to watch all the videos I can. So the first video was a training video, and it showed like flight attendants running through smoke and in the airplane, and then I had them in their clothes with a safety vest on in the pool saving their comrades and whatever, and comrades. I can't talk today. Just whatever, compadres. I'm trying to make up my own language here. Merry knees. Okay, then the second one was some dude. I love to be a flight attendant. It's the best thing on earth. And you're like all jazzed. Oh, yay. And then the other 3 were also flight attendant profiles. This is how I've been a flight attendant this long, and this is why I love it, and this is why this airline is God. And so you get really jazzed for it and everything. So you go in and they have icebreaker questions, which was really funny because they had a piece of paper on the table. There were 7 of us around the table, and then they had the paper on face down. And then one of the flight attendants came and said, you can look at these. So we looked at them. This other flight attendant said, you can't look at them. Put it down. And we were like, but the icebreaker questions were asking about the videos that we had to watch. And then one lady was like, I didn't watch them, Mary. what were they about? And so I told her. And then this other lady came. Oh, you guys, go ahead. What? Look, you can read that. And then the other lady comes on. I don't know what you guys are doing. You can't. And we were like, are we in trouble? Jeez, okay, calm down. Then there was this lady, this cute girl named, we'll call her Sam. And she was doing the video that we had to watch there, which wasn't very interesting or long, about how awesome the airline is and how awesome flight attendants are. And turns out she was kind of an important person, and she had on her little Secret Service thing here, and she was like being all important with her clipboard, and but she seemed like she had a soul at the time. However, we'll get back to that. So we sat down 7 to a row. Actually, we sat down, all of us were sitting down, and then they came and moved people. And then they folded 3 chairs in and said one was for a flight attendant, a current flight attendant, one was for a flight attendant recruiter, and one was for an in-flight service agent or something. I don't even know what her deal was. So we watched this very short video. They have coffee, water, mints, and pastries, and nobody wanted to eat, especially me. I hadn't eaten anything. I hadn't eaten anything the day before because I was nervous. I hadn't slept. I was scared shitless. What I was doing all night in the middle of the night was Googling and watching YouTube videos. So, and I found some awesome ones and some really good suggestions. So we watched the video, and then we were all kind of chatting, and we were all getting along very well because we're all nervous. You know, when you're in that setting, usually I can be kind of standoffish, like when I don't know people. But this time I'm like, I'm an open book, whatever, let's talk, let's chat. Plus, you know you're being watched, and you are being watched. And you're being watched by, I'd say, about 10 flight attendants. And you've got airline people there, and you're just being watched. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those 35 was a mole. I really wouldn't. And so, but when I get nervous and chatty, I can overshare, and so I was trying to rope myself in. There was a couple people who didn't say a word, and they didn't make it to the end. And I know who made it to the end because I was pretty much the last one to get cut. I was there for 10 hours. We had to be there, it started at 7:30. Check-in, and they said don't be any later, so I was there at 7, and I left the house before 6 a.m. because traffic in Seattle sucks. And okay, so I get to SeaTac, and I had to pay $15 parking, but at least I got to park. So I got to the hotel and get a name tag, do the reach test, sit down, chat amongst yourselves, watch the video, and then you get to talk to the flight attendant, the recruiter, and the in-flight service lady who had just finished her flight attendant training. So I don't know what her deal was. So everything I read said ask a question. So I just read that they are acquiring another major airline. Hint number 45. So I asked about that, and he said, good question, and we don't know anything. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I have a feeling this mass hiring they're doing is because of that. It's a pretty big acquisition. And so I went, and we just talked and talked and talked. So on our name tags, we had a sign that said I and G. I was your individual interview, which was 2-on-1, and G was your group. I met this girl, gorgeous girl. I hope she made it. I think she made it. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Hi, Shauna. And she had her group interview at 9 a.m. and her individual interview at 2:30 p.m. I don't know anybody else who had a spread that wide. My individual was at 10 a.m. and my group was at 12:30 p.m. So we just kind of milled around a little, and they said, be there into that big room no later than 30 minutes prior to either your individual or your group interviews. Which is fine, but you really don't want to leave because you're like, oh, but then you're nervous and you gotta pee, whatever. So I just drank some water, and I just met everyone and went from table to table and just kind of socialized. And I didn't meet anyone I didn't like, really. There was fantastic people. There was the cutest girl there whose mom was a flight attendant. Hi, Kristen. And I'm pretty sure she made it. She was just amazing. and another cute girl from my town, and she was amazing. A lot of people had flown in. People flown in from Washington, D.C., from Minneapolis, from Colorado, from Texas, from Los Angeles, a lot of it on their own dime. And had stayed at the hotel, or like this one girl, she stayed close, and I'm pretty sure she made it. She was from LA, and I think she wanted the LA hub. They also have an LA hub, but their main hub is in another state that's not in the continental US. Hit number 86. And anyway, so we just chatted, and then they would come and get people for whatever interviews, the group or the individual or whatever. They would come and get people, and then people would come back like, oh my God, what was that? And we're all on pins and needles, so nobody can eat. I haven't eaten a dang thing. This one lady got a bagel, said, "You want to split it with me?" I said, yes. Couldn't choke it down. Could not. Just so nervous. I think I had coffee and some water because I had to. And then I guess I was there at 8:30 waiting for my interview, and they called me about 9. And it was the woman who was the in-flight person / flight attendant, and it was another woman who was very nice, and they led me up these very long stairs, and we went to this room, and it had 4 people interviewing. There was 4 tables and 2 interviewers to each interviewee. So I sat here at the end, and they asked me questions about first of all, about my resume. They said, you've been a legal assistant, you've done this, you've done that, what kind of jobs did you like? They said, why do you want to be a flight attendant? I said, because one of the videos we had watched was this woman, and she had said, I wanted to be a flight attendant to expand my world. And I thought, God, that's such a good way to put it. But then I had read online, don't say you want to travel or you're good with people. They don't want to hear that. So I said, I want to expand my world. I said, I'm a military brat. I've been all over the world, but I want to expand it. I want to meet more people. I love having adventures, and what I dislike most is being handcuffed to an 8 to 5 cubicle job. That is not for me. They said, do you understand what being a flight attendant entails? And I said, yes. It entails being a safety coordinator, being a waitress server, being a counselor, maybe somebody's scared on board, attending to every need, safety first and comfort second, which is as important. This airline is known for very good employees. And I said that, and I said I've wanted to be a flight attendant since I was little. I grew up on airplanes. I grew up in Europe, and we would come back to Seattle every year, and I would fly. Obviously, I didn't swim. When I lived in England and Germany, I flew. And I said that when I was in high school, I wanted to be a flight attendant right away. And I moved from Virginia to Texas my senior year. And I hope I sounded better than I do right now, because I did ramble a lot because I am a rambler, especially when I'm nervous. But I think I sounded pretty intelligent and put together. I think I did. I said when I moved to Texas, we had to write to our senator or representative or whomever, somebody, and we had to say what we wanted to be when we grew up and what they thought about it. And I said I wanted to be a flight attendant, and he wrote back, and I was so excited I got a letter back. And then my dad said, Mary, you're going to college. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go to college. So I went to the University of Arizona my senior year. Oops, got pregnant. Kind of put a damper on my plans. So now my kids are older, and I'm in a good place. I have my own business that can pretty much sustain itself. And I told them all this, and they said, how long do you want to be a flight attendant? I said, till I retire. This is the right time for me. Ding! And they smiled and laughed, and it was all great. And they said, what frustrates you the most? And I had read in my book that I showed you that I tossed. If anybody wants it, I'll pick it up before the pug gets to it, I promise. I said, I don't appreciate complacency with an employee, a fellow employee, a coworker. And they said, well, that comes to our next question. What would you do if you saw your flight attendant slacking off and you had to do service? And she said, no, I don't feel like it. Let's not do this service. Let's not do this service. P.S. I didn't realize flight attendants had the choice not to serve you. I mean, I thought that you had drink service regardless, unless you're going like this on the plane, right? So I said, well, you know what? I would not let it get to me, and I would just do it. I would just do it myself, right? I don't know. Maybe that was the wrong answer. In hindsight, I think I would say I would try to talk her into it in a friendly way. Like, come on, let's do it. Let's just get it over with. Some people are thirsty, whatever. In hindsight, I would have said that, not that I would just do it myself. But I'm an only child, and I'm an independent woman, and I do shit myself. I mean, it depends on the person, you know? It depends on the supervisor. It depends on how long you've been there. It depends on everything. I mean, you just can't answer something like that. And I don't know. I don't know. What is the correct answer? If you work for this airline, please tell me what the correct answer was. And then they said, what was a time where you had a conflict with a coworker? And I said, when I worked at the Pima County Attorney's Office, which is true, very, very true. There's a hierarchy there, which is completely foolish. It's the legal secretaries, which I was, even though I had more education than most of the legal assistants. And then it's the attorneys. And my attorney, I loved her. Hi, Wendy. She liked me better than she liked the legal assistants. Well, she gave me legal assistant work when I was just a lowly legal secretary. They didn't like that. And we would have meetings, and they were mean to me. But I spun this in a positive way, that I just made my files transparent, moved them to the hallway, said, you can see everything I'm doing every step of the way. And that really was the biggest conflict I've ever had in a job. And I ended up quitting that and going, ugh. I think, and then they asked me why I left and why I went to the museum, and I said I just really wanted to work with veterans, and it was kind of more of a flexible schedule. That's another thing. They said, you've had flexible schedule lately, you know, how would you deal with this flight attendant schedule? And I said, that is just absolutely no problem, because they kept talking about how you have to be on reserve for a long time. There is no set time. Everybody asked over and over again, how long do you have to be on reserve? There's no time. It's based on seniority. If flight attendant number 1 and 2 retire, and you're flight attendant number 3000, then they're going to hire 3001 and 3002, then you're going to have seniority over them. Certain number of people need to get hired before you get off reserve. Reserve means you have 14 hours where you're on call, and I think you have 2 hours to get to your airport and work and fly a trip. And you know what? That sounds exciting to me. It really does. They kind of were like over and over again saying that that was the big negative about starting the job, and it wasn't to me at all. Also, the training, the next training session was starting in August. They said, could you do that? I said, absolutely. It's 5 weeks. You're in a classroom 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and then you have testing, and then on the weekends, one day, you're kind of like a student teacher. You're a flight attendant, and you're on the flight, and you do whatever the people tell you to do. So you fly on the Saturday or Sunday, which sounded awesome to me as well. So I got done with that interview, and I thought, okay, well, I rambled, I got nervous, but everybody's nervous. I mean, you could cut the tension with a knife. It was so nervous in the room, even though we were kind of nervous chattering. So I went down, and I met more people. I think I met Shauna at that time, and yeah, some of these flight attendants were super gorgeous. I mean, they have a reputation for a reason. This one I kind of came close to 2 guys, 2 male flight attendants. They were already flight attendants with other minor airlines. Very, very nice guys. One looked like a supermodel. He was gorgeous. Oh my gosh, Jay, I hope you got the job. I know you did. He was so worried. He was so funny, but he was amazing. So we just, and then they came in and said, we're going to break for lunch, and we won't be back till 12:35. And I'm like, well, my group interview's at 12:30. I kept looking at my sticker like, has it changed? Has my time changed? I waited and waited and waited. I think they finally called us back like at 1. So it's just kind of nervous chattering, talking. And one of the flight attendants, oh no, that was after one of the current flight attendant, the other guy, and I had gone to get a Snickers. I'll tell you why I needed the Snickers in a minute. So it's a group of, I think, 12 of us. And we walk upstairs, and we get in kind of this horseshoe circle, and there's flight attendants, and then the supervisor lady, and then another flight attendant. and we get slips of paper and we get put up into groups. I'm in the group with the supermodel guy, and then the guy who was not dressed well at all, was dressed very poorly. He had like a members only jacket on, and a dirty slacks and tennis shoes. And the supermodel guy was dressed to Tim Gunn would be proud, let me tell you. And so we got this question. The question was, there's a family of 4 on board, and they're separated in different seats, and nobody around them is willing to switch. What would you do? So my first thought was, well, the supermodel guy, he's like, I'm already flight attendant, I don't want to tell you what I would do. You got to figure this out on your own. And I'm like, come on, dude, tell me the answer. But I thought, well, how about we offer these people vouchers, like free drinks, free movie or headset or whatever they do. I mean, a lot of this is you don't know the policy. You don't know who you're dealing with. And so the people to the right of us got first. There's this 2 ladies, and one was dressed in like this white sundress. And I thought, this is weird. She didn't make it. And this other lady, and their question was, you have a screaming infant in first class, and people are bitching all over the airplane. You go to the mom, and the mom says, my child's not acting up. And then people are like, I want off this plane. And I could see this happening probably a lot. And they said, well, we offer vouchers. And I thought, what's my answer? And she said, okay, but then everybody on the plane's like, I want a voucher. The baby's bothering me too. So they were really playing devil's advocate. And then the lady in the sundress kind of got a little weird. Like, you could tell they were kind of taken aback by her answers. Anyway, I thought, oh my God, tough room. And then, so we decided to go next, but we didn't get picked next. So the other group had one about, a germaphobe has her bag on her lap and refuses to put it in overhead bin or underneath. Then what do? And eventually they kind of play devil's advocate again. And eventually the one lady who worked at Microsoft, I think she probably got the job. She seemed very smart. She said, let's put paper towels under the seat. And they said, how about a garbage bag? And they said, oh yeah, garbage bag, that's a better idea. Then the other group went, and what was their deal? I can't even remember what their issue was. It was something stupid. Anyway, we went, and I said, and then the supermodel guy, he answered the question. He read the question, and then he said, oh, I remember what the other one was. I'll get back to that. And then he said, what, I should go back. First, we had to stand up and introduce ourselves, and that's when my legs decided not to work. So we had to stand up. Oops. Hi, I'm Mary, blah, blah, blah. Tell us something interesting about yourself that's not on your resume. And I couldn't think of anything. But first of all, my legs didn't work. I was like this. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I think my blood sugar just dropped. So I thought, wow, that's awesome. My legs don't work during this. And everybody looked at me and went, whoa. And I was like, oh my, I recovered. And my legs worked for the rest of the time. But that's why I got the Snickers bar afterwards. I thought, what is happening? The only thing I can think of is nerves and low blood sugar. And I thought, hopefully they'll take that into account and they won't think that I have like jiggly wobbly legs, because I'm a very healthy girl. I don't know what happened. The only thing I could think of that was interesting was not interesting. And I said, oh, I used to teach high school English. Well, this other girl down the way and this other group said, oh, I volunteer and coach cheerleading. So do I. Why didn't I say that? And they were like, cheerleading, that's amazing. Why didn't I say that? First of all, my legs didn't work, and then I said something boring that wasn't funny or cute. Okay. Anyway, back to our scenario. So, supermodel read the thing, and then I said, my first instinct was to offer vouchers, but this group, that kind of backfired on them. So now I believe that I would make an overhead announcement and ask if anybody was willing to change for this family. And she said, what would that overhead announcement sound like? And I thought I did really well. I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have a family of 4 on board who are not able to sit together. Would anybody be willing to trade their seat with this family? If you do, please ring your call button and I will come to you immediately. Or I said something like that, and I sounded really good and confident. And then the guy who was dressed poorly added something like there should be a kids only area. Like at Thanksgiving, What? Who? Yeah, let's have unsupervised kids on an airplane together. Bomb idea. Ooh, bomb. I shouldn't say that. I don't think I said that yesterday. Okay, so the other group had the question about somebody's on their phone. My friend died, and they can't taxi because the person's on their phone. How the hell do you get them off their phone? And so they went through that, and I don't know what they said. They said, like, try talking to the person's FAA regulations, ma'am. You have to get off the phone. I mean, sometimes you just have to do that, right? So then my legs worked again, and we left. Oh, no, we didn't. Sorry. Then we had to stand up and say, what makes a good flight attendant? Why would you be an asset to this company? They've won some award 9 years in a row. J.D. Power, hint number 92. 9 years in a row, and they want to make this the 10th. I said something I had learned online from a YouTuber, and she was an amazing YouTuber. And I said, there are 3 components to what would make me a great flight attendant. I said, my first one is knowledge. I would be knowledgeable in all policies and procedures, and anybody could come to me with anything. The second is flexibility, because every situation is going to be different, and everyone's flying for different reasons. My third one would be being personable, because I am. You can approach me, and I will talk to you, and I will calm you down. I will do whatever I have to. I'm a friendly person. And I thought, you go, Mary. That was awesome. And even Supermodel had to go next. He went, I have to follow that. Anyway, so we went downstairs, and then they said, have a seat. Okay, so I see Sam, who we thought had a soul. Before, she's kind of flittering around being nice. She comes in with her thing, and she calls a name. And we're like, and she takes them. And I realized after a while of chatting, this person doesn't come back. I said, hey, Supermodel. Sam's the one that takes you out. She's it. You get called by her, you don't come back. You're saying goodbye. He's like, no. This is like 1 p.m. No, this was not. This because our thing lasted a good half an hour. So this is probably about 2 p.m. No. And then I noticed one lady's already gone. And the other guy and I went down to get the Snickers. And she was in the hallway crying with her son. She had flown in from Alaska. And then she said, oh, I don't care. And then she's crying. Yeah, you don't care. So we're looking at each other like, oh, shit. This is so stressful. And it's weird because you've been spending all day bonding with these people. And it's only been a few hours, but it felt like a week. At least a week. So we said, okay, well, whatever. Okay, that's nice. We're freaking out. And then we spend the rest of the day just kind of doing nothing. Just sitting around. The flight attendants come in and we start to play the headbands game, and you put the thing on your head. And there's really nothing else you can do. And periodically Sam comes in. And she'll talk to us and she'll be like, I have a poker face, I'm not saying anything. And then she'll be like, Adele? And we're like, oh, Adele, my God, she's got the guillotine. And by the way, they're still doing interviews at this time. The last interview was Shauna having to do her individual interview at 2:30. So we're like, finally, Shauna gets called. Okay, so then we're waiting around. And it's 3 p.m. And we're waiting. We're playing this headbands game. We're talking to the other flight attendants. We learned that one of the flight attendant guys there was an actor, and he was on some shows. Clue number 101. I won't say what shows, but Jennifer Aniston was on it. And some people, they're getting called by Sam, and they're realizing what's happening now. And they're like, oh! Some people start crying when Sam calls them, and they get their luggage and blah, blah. So we're trying to make jokes with Sam, like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? You okay? You doing well? And then but we're like, we know what you're doing. And she said, yeah, I don't have the fun job or something. And then she's like, I'm the coordinator, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, every time Sam comes in, we're like, we're going to hide, or we're going to change name tags or something. And we kind of all go quiet. So it's like, we're still playing this game. She comes in, you guys are loud. We can hear you laughing. And so they're basically deliberating. she's coming in and with stacks of people, with letting people go left and right. I'm like, how am I still here? This is awesome. This is great. And then it was like another hour. I think it was about 4:30, and she hadn't called anyone. And I'm like, God, maybe we all made it. And there was probably about 25 people left in the room, 25, 20. She comes back in with another stack. I'm like, oh, great. And she starts calling people. And she leaves again. And then at 5, the flight attendants were like, this is a great sign. This is great. They've taken this long, and they're really getting down to the wire. And I just had a feeling, and I grabbed my stuff. And my supermodel friend went to grab his jacket because he had nothing to worry about. He was such a shoo-in. And one lady, the supervisor lady, had grabbed another girl and taken her. She said, do I need to take my stuff? She said no. So I don't know what that was about. I'm sure she got hired. And I don't know how the hiring thing went. Anyway, she came in and said, Mary. And I went, and I smiled because I knew what it was. I mean, I'm not stupid. And by this time, everybody's gone through, and she only had about 3 people left. And I thought, this has got to be the final cut. This has to be. This is about 20 people left. And I thought, dang, I made it this far out of 3,000. And then I thought, you know what? Maybe I don't want this job. This isn't such a bad thing. I'm really not a person who wants to put my hair back all the time. And I don't know. It would be a fun job. I guess it's a double-edged sword. And I was sad. I was disappointed at this time, but I wasn't going to cry. And I knew she had a tough job. So I smiled, and I followed her to the end of the hallway, and she said, thank you for applying with and she looked right through me. She did not see me as a person. I thought, I've interacted with you all day. From 7 a.m. this morning to I'm at you till 5 p.m. right now. I am tired and stressed out. Can you be a human, Sam? Can you be human? I mean, God. Looked right through me, and she said, we'd like to thank you for applying with our airline. We have decided not to hire you at this time. But if you'd like to reapply in 6 months, you may do so on our website. And I thought, hello, Sam. I'm a person. It's me. What the hell? I mean, I know it's a hard job, but be human. And I was smiling the whole time, trying to make her feel better. And I said, okay, well, thanks. It was great meeting you. And she just looked right through me and marched back. And I went, took off my blazer, took my hair out, got in my car, put my sunglasses on, rolled down my window, put on my music. And then, of course, I'm stuck in standstill traffic because they had to tell me this at 5 p.m. in Seattle. So it took me forever. It took me over an hour to get home from Seattle. I mean, I don't live that far. I really don't. So I was in stopped traffic, and that sucked. I'm like, why did you have to tell me now? You could have told me in 2-3 hours ago. But it was sad because I couldn't say goodbye to all these people I'd bonded with so much, and I wanted to see, who ultimately made it. I'm pretty sure I know. I'm pretty sure they hired probably about 15 of the 35 of us, and I'm pretty sure I know who, and I think I know who is going home. Kind of got a sense of that. It's a lot about who you know, because everybody who had airline connections had made it. People whose moms flew, or, my dad was a pilot, but he's retired. He was a pilot for FedEx, not this airline. And I'm pretty sure I know what they were looking for. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm sorry this was so freaking long, and thanks for bearing with me if you got this far. If not, I can't blame you one bit. And if you are the airline and you realize by looking at me and hearing me, you made a huge mistake by letting me go, Sam, then hit me up too.